Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're going to be giving our first impressions on Welcome to Dino World.
Yes, I always don't know how to say that name. I'm like, is it just Dino World, or
It does look like
is
Dino
Welcome
World.
to just kind of part of the artwork and the sign, or
hmm
is it Welcome to Dino World? And
Right, and I don't think it has anything to do with the other Welcome to game. I guess
no,
I
I
didn't
don't
look
think
that
so.
up, but I don't think it
I don't
does.
think so. No,
Yeah, so that's a little strange, but this might have actually, I don't know if this came out before Welcome to. I think it might
it
have,
might
so
have. Yeah,
just interesting that they have Dino World so big, but then have a little Welcome
yeah,
to.
yeah.
But it
But
does
yeah,
make sense because it's about putting together a park
yeah,
that you
yeah,
would be going to. But you
yeah,
could just call it Dino World too. I think based on a lot of people probably knowing Jurassic Park and that type of thing, they would understand kind of where it
yeah,
was going.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this is from Alley Cat Games.
yes, this
Uh,
one is actually not our game,
no, it is
um,
not.
but yeah, it was my best friend's game. He let us use it, and we thought it would be a perfect time to try it
Yes.
out to be a part of our
Dinomania is what I've settled on in my head for calling it.
It's too bad it isn't actually in May, but June, because otherwise it'd
Yes.
really be the perfect
Yes,
perfect
it would
slogan
be.
for it. But as part of that, we're playing as many Dino games as we can or we have
Yeah,
access to,
yeah. Giving
which
our
I'm sure
thoughts on them.
there's a lot more out there that we're
Yeah,
not gonna play, but
yeah,
um, we'll be having this one. I don't know the exact order of
yeah,
things, but we'll have this one and quite a few other videos. So if you
yeah,
want to see all of those, you're gonna have
yeah,
to subscribe and hit the notifications so that you can be a part of all, see all those videos, see kind of which ones we think
yeah,
are
for
the
sure.
best, and
Yeah, and our
um,
eventual ranking of them all.
yes. So I think we'll probably have about 5 to 7 games. I
Yeah,
think probably
yeah,
somewhere in there, depending on if we get a couple more played. But yeah, this was our first play. Well, sort of 2 plays of Welcome to Dino
yeah.
World. We kind of messed up
I
the
don't know what.
first one,
I
and
don't
we
know what
we
you'd call it.
realized it like pretty quickly,
Yeah.
probably about 3 rounds in, that
So,
something seemed off.
yeah, for sure. There pretty much is. There's like three different types of actions that you can take, and you can take each once per turn. But we forgot that last part, so we were just building
The
dino
very
after dino
important
after dino, and
Yes,
usually you can only build one dino per
yes,
round, so you'd be
hmm
limited to 8 throughout the game. There's 8 rounds, but
hmm
we did not listen to that,
right.
and we were just building, building, building.
Yes, and they take up a big chunk of area,
Yeah,
so it's
so
a gridded area that you're building,
yeah,
either roads and
yeah, and
kind of.
it's limiting kind of how you're placing because you need
hmm
roads leading to them. So our parts actually probably ended up for our game where we messed that up and our game
hmm
where we played by the rules. They probably ended up pretty close to each other, and
Yes, but
and
in 2 less rounds.
yes,
But yeah, they ended up scoring pretty similarly,
yeah,
and yeah, ended up pretty close as
yeah,
well.
that was interesting.
Uh, but yeah, then we did play it the correct way because we
Yes,
just felt like, our parks are. They were even feeling like they were filling up after like 3 rounds,
yeah,
and it was like, I don't know how they were gonna go 5 more rounds and have room for anything.
yeah,
But yeah, so then we played the actual one, and um, I guess going into this, I wasn't sure what to expect exactly. I figured it would feel very similar to, I think, a lot of the dino games that we've played
yeah,
kind of have that same sort of theme where you're building a dino park,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I think is. I think people look at Jurassic Park, and that's kind of the nostalgia in dinosaurs.
yeah,
I don't know if there's really another big thing getting people into dinosaurs. Um,
yeah. I don't think
so I
so.
think just a lot of these games like to focus on that aspect of building this park,
Yeah,
where you have dinosaurs and usually other amusement park type
yeah,
things. Um, and this one was no different. So I don't think I went into it with too high of expectations, but whenever it's a dinosaur game, I go in there with at least
yes.
some expectations of
Yeah.
it being pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know if it was going. I mean, I assumed it'd follow the overall theme, but
hmm
we had kind of played Dinosaur Island Roaring, right? And
hmm
I didn't know if it would kind of hit a lot of the same notes there. I
hmm
thought this would be a simpler game, just it's a smaller box, and
hmm
um, I thought maybe it'd be more traditional, I guess, roll and write
hmm
type things, and not as grand of a scale as some of the other Dino games. So
Mhm.
I think I was probably right where you were. Not super high expectations, but still interested.
Mhm. Yeah. So then we ended up actually playing it, like I said, and played it the right way.
Yes.
Even when we were playing it wrong, I mean, it didn't feel like a bad game.
Yeah.
It just felt like, wow, this is going really fast. I
Yes.
feel like we need more area. Or it felt like we were doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But it still felt like it was all working. It just
Yes.
seemed a little weird. Like, but yeah, so I ended up liking it quite a bit. I think because I think yeah, my expectations, like I said, weren't extremely high. Whereas like some of the other dinosaur games we played, like Dinogenics and Dinosaur World,
Yeah.
those I was both pretty hyped about because they're a bigger board game. But like you said, we have also the Dinosaur Island Roar and Write, and this one being a Roll and Write as well. I think that's what kind of made me like, eh. But yeah, I think it outdid my expectations.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been a little we played the light version. We
Yeah,
didn't play.
there's a
There's another
light
version,
version, and there's a danger version, I
which
believe.
yeah might be a little bit closer. So I think that other one is a little bit tougher, a little bit more
Yeah,
difficult, a lot more going on.
yeah,
Whereas this one is much more approachable, I think.
yeah, yeah.
But I think I still had the same amount of fun with it because you could still. I think the unique thing about this one that I really liked was that you could kind of build your pen in any shape you wanted.
Yes, yes,
You just had to use a certain amount of squares, which
yeah,
is a little different take than I see in a lot of the roll and write
yeah,
polyomino type games. 'Cause usually your shapes are kind of set in
yeah,
place. So I found that really unique. I
yeah.
really actually liked that quite a bit, and I'm kind of surprised. Can you think of any other games that really use that? Because it's like,
I
surprised
I
that's not
can't.
used a little bit more in
Yeah, I
games because
can't.
that's a really interesting way of doing it because then you kind of get to manipulate that a lot more
Yeah,
because you already have a good amount of manipulation with turning and stuff, shapes
yeah,
and stuff, but that just adds kind of that extra level,
yeah,
which I found really unique for this one.
yeah. That was something that definitely did feel different and fresh, and something that I was not expecting this
Hmm.
game to deliver. I thought I'll probably have seen pretty much everything in here before, but that one, yeah, that did stick out as something new.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. The theme, I think, this type of theme and this type of game, like a polyomino placing shapes, I think the theme is bound to come through
Hmm.
somewhat, kind of a little bit of a Zoo Tycoon
Hmm.
feel, trying to connect paths to all the different exhibits, and I really like that kind of game. So I
Hmm.
enjoyed this one quite a bit. Probably, I'd say I'm right with you again. I exceeded my expectations.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think that kind of my initial rating would be probably somewhere between like a 7.5, 7.75.
Yeah,
I think it could be a little higher, but I think it's tough for me because I in my head I think of the board game versions of it, but as a roll and write, if the other ones didn't exist, like Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur World, it might be higher than that even. But I think it's just
yeah,
hard in my head to, um, like if I was going to play them, those might edge it out just a little bit.
yeah,
And just the fact that this is just all, there's no real hook component in this. I would say there's a few things that I
yeah,
think they could have done. So the dice are pretty much just normal black and white dice. I
yeah,
think they could have maybe done a little bit with that, give it a little bit more of a pop
yeah.
feel. Um, and
the
then
the boards can look pretty messy. I
yeah.
mean, I kind of gave up on it. Recommends you draw the dinos. They have a recommended drawing that you can have for each dino,
Hmm.
or you can just kind of put the initial of the dinosaur, which
Hmm.
I ended up doing mostly initials, and then the board kind of. I think they put some nice grass artwork in the board,
Hmm.
but I think that also makes it harder to see exactly the layout of all
Hmm.
the squares and stuff for that.
Yeah, I wonder if it would work if I would have to go back and look if you kind of colored each dinosaur and did it more like a
Yeah,
cartographer's.
yeah,
It,
that might work better.
but then you'd have to be kind of pretty confident. There were
Yeah,
some times where I miscounted how many
yeah,
square. That's the only thing with that would be a little slight negative to being able to draw your own is the number of squares. I feel like I had maybe 2 or 3 times where I accidentally
Yeah.
had one too many squares than I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So then you have to erase it. So
Yeah.
I can see why you would use pencil versus that, but yeah. Otherwise, I think you could use colored pencils maybe, and
Yeah.
then you have it kind of pop a little bit more and make it a little more obvious which ones are
Yeah.
which. I think you
Yeah.
could use that.
But yeah, I guess my rating is a tough one. I'd probably go 7.75.
Okay.
I'm pretty interested in getting it back to the table, not only
Mm-hmm.
for that harder variant, danger
yeah.
variant,
Mhm.
but also there's quite a few cards for different objectives you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
and different visitors. So I'm interested in kind of seeing how much variability there is for the game.
Yeah, same here. I'd definitely like to try that harder side and see how that compares as well to
Yeah.
the Roaring Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, that's pretty much everything we have about our first couple games at
Yeah.
Welcome to Dino World.
Welcome to Dino World.
But if you've made it this far and you liked the video, you can give us a thumbs up. And like I said, if you want to kind of see the other dinosaur games we're going to talk about, definitely subscribe, and you'll hit the notification bell so you can get notified when those other videos come
Yeah.
out. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on those dinos.